Yeah, yeah. What they saying? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine.
Welcome to the H.G.R.G podcast. We back with another one. What's going on, DT? Just Jerry. Welcome back, fellas.
Hey, Lance. DT, you still with us? DT, you still with us?
Yeah, man, I'm with you, man. My dad made this for me, man. He thinks I don't like it, so I'm gonna make sure I show it on my podcast now, and I'm gonna hit the Guido and all that. You know what I'm saying?
But listen, why'd you pump fake me? Just Jerry? I mean, you pump fake me right there, brother.
That's what happens when you ain't down with the cause.
It's all good. It's all good.
Definitely not your friend, best friend. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I know, best friend. I know. Listen, today we want to talk about the little things when investing in real estate. Okay, the things you should know, the things that many people don't talk about, or the things that you may learn along the way that you probably want to know now, right? So with that being said,
I know this hits home for you guys, huh?
sometimes you got to pay 2 sets of taxes. I mean, but the reality, we're gonna touch on everything, man. So we're gonna teach you about our mistakes and stuff that we've done, and that's cost us lump sums of money right up front at one time, But when you invest and you own a property, especially if you buy it outright, there's going to be a couple things you got to do, right? When you buy a property and you have a mortgage on it, things are escrow, right? Like insurance, like taxes, the mortgage itself, all in one home. You just make that payment. It's there, right? We don't agree with that, right? It's there.
Pretty straightforward.
Right, pretty straightforward. Right? No real thinking.
But
now, if you're balling out of control, not saying anybody else, nobody here is doing that. I'm just saying if you're balling out of control and you decide to buy a few properties, cash. So a few people here might have a couple cash. You know what I'm saying?
1 or 2 or 10. You
have to do everything manual yourself. Right, and we're going to go through some of those things that you should know about. Right.
Good one. I know we laughy jokey, but this is a good one because believe it or not, like people, for people who do it every day, it's like, oh yeah, how do you not know that? Like how, like hello, duh, like you would think, but for the most part, if you don't know, you don't know, right? It's innocent. It's not like I don't want to know. It's not like I did it on purpose. Like it was literally I thought ABC. I never knew that XYZ existed.
All right. Well, you're gonna learn today. I know that.
This is the purpose. You want to learn. It's the purpose. It's the purpose.
Here's the first and foremost thing, right? You want to protect yourself.
Yeah.
We have run into people that own their property, with people living in the property and having no insurance.
Man.
I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. What the status of that property is, who's living in it, who's not living in it. Go get yourself insurance for that property. It's not as expensive as you think. You'd be very surprised how cheap insurance can be. Right? So I suggest everybody, not suggest, I demand everybody will get insurance on their properties. Right. You see what I'm saying? That's first. What DT, let me ask you this. You don't have insurance on the property. What could be the outcome of that on the other side, not having insurance?
You can lose your property, be a total loss, and you might have to pay out of pocket. I have a story time with DT. I have a story with somebody. I think I told this before. Somebody owned a property caught on fire. It was damaged to the point where it's no longer safe. The city of Rochester demolished the property the same night it caught on fire. Like the next day, it was gone. So the owner got the call. He's out of town. Property caught on fire. Calls me. It was like a Sunday night. I go Monday morning, and when I get there, it's dirt. It's just a dirt on the lot. Like the whole house is gone. It's just dirt. So, okay, yeah, you got insurance? No, I didn't have any insurance. So not only did he take a total loss on the property, the city billed him like $28,000 for the demolition of the house as well. So not only that, and then he still owns that lot. So now he has to maintain that lot.
Oh.
Cutting the grass, maintaining the dirt, blocking off the driveway so it's not like a nuisance for the town. What he ended up doing was he had to pay the $28,000, and then he donated the lot back to the city. So somebody could probably buy it for like $1 or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So he lost his $60,000 property, paid an additional $28,000. So you $88,000 out of pocket, right?
Almost $90,000 there. Yep.
And then he donated it back to the city.
So ain't got shit left.
The reason why he donated it back to the city, because I'm sure people are like, why would you donate it back to the city? Because he still has to pay taxes on that lot. So it's going to cost him $1,800, $2,000 a year to own a lot that he's making no money off of. So it'd be cheaper, more beneficial for him just to donate it to the city.
Well, why didn't he rebuild? Because he had no insurance.
He has no insurance.
That's why.
It cost him $200,000 to build a $60,000 house.
Yep.
So he's not going to rebuild it. He's left with nothing because he has no insurance. You know, it makes no sense. And he could have been paying literally $35, $50 a month for insurance.
I got another story with a guy. There was a fire. So there was the owner that I was working with owned a house, and his house caught on fire, but he had insurance. The next door neighbor house was damaged by the fire, but the next door neighbor did not have insurance. So the next door neighbor tried to sue the owner of the house that had the insurance, and he lost because he didn't have insurance. So he bought that house to flip it. It caught on fire, was damaged. He ended up selling the house for like $10,000, but he probably had like 30 or 40 invested in the fixing and shit like that. So he took probably like a $20,000, $30,000 loss on that property. So another example of, it may not even be your house that catches on fire. It may not be your house that gets damaged by ice and water breaks and vandalisms and whatever the case may be. It could be the neighbor. It could be the person behind you. But because of what happened there, a tree can fall on your house.
Yep.
And
that's why I tell them it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. I don't care if anyone's there or if no one's there or what are you using for a flip, anything. I don't care if it's your worst property that you got in your portfolio. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. And the insurance is dirt cheap.
You can get a landlord policy on insurance for a property. It depends on the neighborhood, the area, the markets, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
In our market, you're talking like maybe $600 a year, $600 to $800 a year.
Divide that by 12, and you understand what your payment looks like.
$50, $100 at the most. You know what I mean? Even if it's $1,000 a year, if you have multifamily, if it's $2,000, if you have a bigger, whatever the number. If you think about the examples that we just gave you, I mean, is that anything to play with? Is it worth risking that loss for $50 to $500 a month?
No, not at all.
You know,
especially if you're safe 100% and then your next door neighbor is not,
right,
bro. I'll be tight. I will be tight.
You say, but it'd only be you that you have to blame for that, right?
That's a fact.
So that's one thing, guys. Insurance. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. So you have insurance, good to go. You got tenants in there, right? There's stuff that comes with property management, right? Especially if you're not going to take care of the property and you give it to somebody else. There's fees that come with that, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want you to think that this is not, you get a property, you get money, and then that's it, right? We're going to go through different stages of what costs are when you own properties, right? There's costs that come with that. Just Jerry, what are some of the costs that come with having a property manager?
Well, the property management, you have to pay them a certain amount every but it's usually 10% every month for the rent. So you get your rent. Let's say you get $1,000, you got to pay them $100 a month. That's one fee. Anything they do for you, they charge you. So if you do a contract job, they charge you. If you have them go look for something, looking and expect the house, they're gonna charge you. Besides the property manager, you're gonna have to get the lawn fixed. The lawn that you're not fixed. Mowed. Yeah. The property manager doesn't ask you to pay them. You're paying the guy who does it.
Right. They ain't out there. The property manager ain't out there.
They're not doing it themselves, but you're paying that fee. All that costs that you don't.
You get somebody to go out there and do it. Right. You paying it.
Yeah,
that's right.
You don't think that you're gonna be paying for a lawn. You don't think about that. Yeah, you do that because if you don't, and your grass is 6 inches or 12 inches, you're gonna get a knock on the door by the state, and go, hey, not the city, the state. So I'm not state, the city. Hey, this is illegal. Let me give you a fee for that.
Right.
So all that stuff that they take care of that you don't really think of, the property manager, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for. There's a fee for everything that they do for you.
And that's to Lance's point, right? Lance said that he saw a video, and the guy said, "Hey, you pay $300, you make this, in 3 months you do this, you do this." And Lance said, "What about the expenses?
What about the expenses?
You're not going to talk about nothing like that. So you just bought the property and it was a robot. It never the battery never got low. It just was always perfect.
Oh, they want the Elon Musk houses. I know.
You know what I mean? Like it's
That's
just
they want.
People need to hear this part. It sounds like we're dumbing it down, and we really are, as we should. But it's for a reason, because we get these conversations probably too much, but we want to overshare. We want to give the good, the bad, the ugly, right? So obviously the insurance is one. Expenses, property management side are another. In different markets, in different townships, in different cities and states, municipalities, there's obviously different variables, right? If you live in a gated community where there's paint colors that have to be voted on, or the size of your windows have to be the same with grades in them or not, the shades, the driveway, like there's a lot of variables, the types of properties you own. Okay, we're not going to get into all that, but we're just talking about like the nuts and bolts of what are the essential things that you need to know about, right? When you own a property, a rental property specifically, to not forget that people don't even consider, right? So again, like Lance said, insurance is one. Jerry, expenses, property management side of things. Property management side of things, that's a whole nother, Pandora's box you can go into, and the fee structure of what that looks like. But just think about it. Anything that has to be done with your property, you have to pay for.
You have to pay for it.
Whatever it is. From
you got tenants, bro.
Yeah, from changing a light bulb to changing filters to, plant
broken window
fees and windows and doors and driveway, like everything. So, that's another thing. But I'm sure another
depending on if you have a duplex and stuff or stuff, you can always try to put this in, but sometimes you don't. You can't. Water bill. The water bill you're gonna have to pay for. You can put it in the lease or work around that situation, which we would like you to do, but sometimes you don't, and sometimes
it may be hard to get tenants too.
Correct.
On a single family, you can add it to the
rent.
To the tenant. You can add
That's
it to
why he said multifamily. That's
on a multifamily. You can't add it to a tenant because there's only one water meter coming in the property. Who's to say who's using more?
Who's using more?
So what people do is they'll just increase the rent amounts by whatever that projected. Right. And let's be clear, water's cheap, right? Water's cheap.
Water's cheap, but it's a bill. It's a fee.
It's an expense. Once again, it's an expense, guys. So it's stuff like that where people come in line.
That's actually a good point. My bad. Let's go into that. Water bill. I never suggest that a owner make the tenant pay the bill separately. Never. Let me tell you why. It's a gem, so pay attention. If the tenant So if, let's say you have a tenant in a single family property and you make it their responsibility to pay the bill. Let's say it's $100 every 90 days because water bill typically quarterly, right?
I already know where you're going with this. Yeah.
So if the tenant is responsible for the bill, right? And let's say the tenant doesn't pay the bill for a year, 2 years. You know, you, the owner, you just assume that they're paying the bill, right? They don't shut the water off, so the tenant doesn't complain, so it doesn't come to the owner's attention. But that delinquent water bill plus interest goes on the taxes of the owner, right? So if the owner thinks that the taxes are only $2,000 a year for that property, right? Adding 400 additional or 500 with fees, right? But the owner's only paying 2,000. You can have your property foreclosed on.
Foreclosed on. You better preach that shit.
$400 to $500 that you didn't pay because you didn't know, right? Because there shouldn't be no such thing as a water bill in your taxes, but you don't know, right? So I always encourage owners, pay your own bill. The average water bill in a single family property is like $400 a year, $300 a year. Divide that by 12. Is that worth even thinking about foreclosure?
Yeah.
So think of this, guys. We've talked about insurance and we've talked about water bills, right? And if you start putting that together, we're not talking big money here, but it's going to save you a world of hurt.
Potentially less than $100 a month.
It's going to save you a world of hurt.
Small things, man.
Yeah.
Small things.
So it's stuff like that you guys need to pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? Stop going into. We want to give you stuff like this because it's stuff that it's not sexy to talk about, really. Taxes and fees and all stuff that is not sexy to people wanting to invest or people that want you to invest in them, right? So it's not an eye catcher. Telling you to go get a building with 50 doors in it and charge them $1,000, $2,000 a month, and then you're making $50,000 to $100,000 a month and no fees and no nothing. You take that money and you go put it in a life insurance, and then you take the life insurance and borrow that back, and then go buy a McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that sounds great on TikTok, on IG. It sounds great. It sounds great, but the reality is, when you're getting in this and it's the first time, and you're buying your first couple properties and stuff like that, and stuff like this, that, like you said, it may take 2-3 years for a water bill that you think is being paid for to come back and hit you, and you have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here you are ready to go buy another property, and you're delinquent on this one.
Lose yours.
And you're about to lose that one. So you think you're getting 3, and you're about to end up with 2.
Right.
So the reality is that it's stuff like that. It means a lot. It's small, but it means a lot, right?
Perfect segue. Taxes.
Right. Taxes. So, go ahead, DT.
So
sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. I mean, that's all I can say.
Years ago, I had hey, best friend, how you doing? I had a friend of mine who was like, hey, excuse me, when we were doing our initial interview for management, I was just asking, hey, what's the rundown of your portfolio? What does it look like? Blah, blah, blah. And then my best friend asked me, hey, what services do you guys offer? Do you guys pay taxes? Do you pay mortgages? Do you do that? No. We don't pay mortgages. We don't pay taxes. We pay water bills. We pay utility bills. And then we also pay insurance bills if need be. Oh, okay, cool. Do you pay your insurance? You pay? Yeah, I do. Okay. So you pay your city taxes and your county taxes, right? He was like, yeah, we do that. Cool. Everything's good. A couple weeks later, he comes back. He says, hey, man, I was talking to my partner, which just so happened to be just Jerry. And we pay taxes, but you made it seem like there's a second tax. And I was like, I made it seem that way? He was like, yeah. I said, well, there is. I didn't make it seem that way. There is. There's 2 taxes. There's city taxes and there's county taxes. And he was like, my best friend, what? Are you serious? Yes.
Shit's crazy.
Let me show you how. Do you have a computer? No, I got a phone. All right, go to this website, that website. Nevertheless, the story goes that way because in certain markets, there's only one tax bill. When you buy a property through a mortgage, you pay an escrow. So escrow handles the taxes for you and insurance. But when you buy a property cash, like Lance and Jerry were buying all their properties up front at the beginning, they had to pay their own taxes separately. So when I guess I don't know how or who told you that whatever tax place you contacted was the one you should, but there's two separate tax bills and they didn't know that. So
I forgot about one.
So it's important to know that in your market, if there's city and county, if it's state tax only, if it's, there's a school tax. I mean, there's separate entities in which your tax bill consists of. Now, your realtor, your attorney, when you're buying and closing on a property, they should inform you of that, because on your closing statement, both of those tax bills should be up to par. And on your closing statement, it should say how many tax bills you're responsible for. And I'm pretty sure I might have said it on Lance and Jerry's, but
I'm not sure. I want to go back and look at it. I'm not sure.
I saw that, but never.
I think there's only one line for taxes.
That was like years ago, man.
I think there's only one line for taxes. But the reality is that, I know my stuff says my address is blah blah blah, City of Rochester. So I was paying my blah 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 City of Rochester taxes. I know there was some county that I had to pay for. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just us being real on our podcast. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I'm paying this, and then I got letters saying this.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing them away. Fuck. What is that? You know what I'm saying? That shit, they bugging. No, I paid that. They're good. Everything is good. They're fine. You know what I'm saying? Oh, this was stamped 2 months ago. This must be. Everything is good. You know what I'm saying? And
you guys, when that happened, that's why the conversation was the way it was, because you're not the only person that I've spoken to. People from out of the country, some don't even understand what taxes are, because they don't pay taxes. Like, it's just, I buy the property, I own the flat, and that's it.
Right.
So understanding U.S. taxes, it's a skill. It's education within itself. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, do you guys, are you sure? Yeah. Okay, cool. But it understand where you invest in your market, what taxes you owe, because that would be the easiest way for you to lose your property and be stuck. And that would be the worst thing you could ever do.
That's a fact.
The worst thing you could ever do is lose your property based off taxes. We go to tax auctions twice a year, city, county taxes. Twice a year. We buy properties from city and county auctions that are delinquent tax auctions.
We was going to buy our own property back, I'll tell you that.
Right?
I've been there with it. 23.
Every year when we buy a property, we got to knock on somebody's door who owned this property, who owns a mortgage on this property, but just didn't pay their taxes. And now we have to ask them, are you going to rent from us? Or are you going to move out?
Right.
This is like real life.
It's a fact. It's right.
And you got to be educated, man. You know what I'm saying? This is us. Like I said, once again, live through us and take the education. And that's why H.G.R.G is so powerful, man. I don't know if there's an avenue we ain't drive down. Between all three of us, I'm not sure there's a situation that we haven't faced. You know what I'm saying? Are we end all be all? No, man, but we've been there. We've been around the block many times. So, it's things that, and we give you, as we sit down and we think about this stuff, what education can we give them? What jewels can we give them? What gems can we give them? What do we need to talk about? And we pull from our experiences a lot. We have property management. We're not telling you, oh, use the feeder. We have property management. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're not saying we have insurance. We have properties that we have mortgages on. We have properties that we don't have mortgages on. We're telling you about the taxes. Oh, yeah, we've run into these tax problems for sure. Or we've run into these type of tenants for sure. Stop thinking that you want to talk about easy and dumbing shit down, right? Stop thinking that you just go ahead, you buy a property, you put a tenant in there, and then forever you make that money. Forever there's no problem. Forever there's no fees. Forever there's not. That's not how it goes.
It's not.
I'm not sure who you're listening to.
It's not Elon Musk. You sure?
It's definitely not Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. So I don't know. Go ahead.
Now you all not to go into more, but I'll give you some more. And what about emergency repairs? Appliances breaks, plumbing leaks, roof sometimes leaks, unexpected. Everything of that happens in real estate.
Yeah.
That
But
happens.
if you listen to the HELOC podcast, though, you got some money sitting there that you can use to tackle it. You know what I'm saying? Everything's a build up here. You know what I'm saying?
Hot water tanks and furnaces, they never go bad Monday through Friday from 8 to 4.
It's always Sunday at 3 p.m.
Always Friday night, 7:30 at night, Christmas Eve, New Year's, Thanksgiving. You know, I need heat right now. Like, we can't wait 5 minutes. That's when your heater is gonna go bad.
Coldest day of the year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
This is gonna go bad. Hot water is gonna be like when everybody wants to take a shower at 7 o'clock at night, you know, on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, I need hot water right now. You know, and those emergency fees and funds, you know, you gotta
pay for that.
This stuff exists, man.
You know, right? You should have CapEx expenses included in your breakdown. And CapEx would cover this. Typically you would not want to wait for something to go bad to replace it, but some people do because that's what their budget is. But these are the things that we're talking about.
Or shit just happens, you know, and that's another thing. So you can go ahead and listen to the internet, right? I mean, like, this sounds dumb because we're on the internet as well, right? But you can go ahead and listen to these short clips where they go, everything is profit and there's no fees. There's a lot of fees. There's a lot of fees, but there's a lot of money to make, but there's a lot of fees. You know, it's just, you know, that's the reality of the business and nature of the business. So stop coming into this thinking that all you got to do is buy the property and get the tenant and it's over. It's not. It's not.
That's a fact. And once again, it's what the numbers create. If your numbers is right, you don't worry about none of this shit. Your numbers are right, you don't care. Because everything is getting paid off with the numbers right. And if you do it correctly, you don't care about this shit. All these fees are worked into your numbers, so you do not care about it. You still get a profit at the end of the day. But if you do not do it right, and if you're not understanding what comes with this, that's what's gonna kill you. Just like DT just said, you just lost your property because of taxes. And the taxes is only $1,000, but you put a down payment for $18,000.
And here's the reality: we did pay our taxes.
No, we're not talking about.
We didn't know there was a second. So even us paying.
Pay partial.
We pay partial.
But that's the conversation.
We pay Jack, not Joe. You know what I'm saying? So
you pay bi-weekly. You just forgot the
you know, anything off the top, fellas? Any other fees that you can think about?
I'll tell you this. Let's say you're vacant. There's fees on top of that. There's rent readies. There's your utility bills that you do not know. You do not. The contractors have to work in your property. You got to pay for that bill. That light bill you got to pay for. It's winter. It's winter, and you got to keep the pipes warm. So you got your furnace working. You got to pay for that.
Yep.
All that is your payment.
That's a great point.
All that stuff is yours.
Yep. Preventative maintenance is another real thing. You know, depending on how you like to upkeep your properties, but you know, things like furnace cleaning, filter changing, snow removal, lawn care, gutter cleaning, driveway sealing, you know, in the basement windows, insulation, waterproofing, recaulking tubs, checking toilets, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide, making sure they have the essential health and safety features in the properties, like, you know, things that nobody thinks about. There's just stuff that has to happen for your property to consistently maintain the healthy and safe living quarters, so that you're not in violation of a city or municipality or Section 8s or, you know, different government subsidies. Those are all things that people got to think about. You know, that's you know, it really boils down to just like misinformation. You know, and that's what we're here for. So if you guys tapped in, if you don't, you should. If you do, God bless you, and please continue to do so. Matter of fact, we got to do an episode on Section 8. That's what we never done. Something that I want to think about. We got to do that.
We can do that, but we know what we have done. We've done episode on C of O's. So you want to talk about fees and shit that's associated with properties and owning properties? Go ahead and just look at the C of O's. That's mandatory.
Yeah.
So if you think you could just skate, you know what I'm saying? And everything.
C of O, Lance.
Excuse me, sir, a certificate of occupancy. So if you
required for?
So if you're not say it again.
What is it
somebody to occupy the property, right? So if you're not operating under that, right? It's not your property manager. It's not your property manager. It's not what you want to do. It's what the county or city that you're in are saying. Here's the guidelines. Right. You want someone to live here? Fix this. Do this. Get that done. It ain't nothing you can do about it.
To their standard.
Yeah.
To their standard. So play around if you want to play, right? Thinking that there's no fees associated with this stuff. Stop. You'll be playing yourself.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So the reality is that, guys, just be prepared for this stuff. You know, be prepared for this stuff. I didn't know what a C of O was before I got in. Never heard of it. There was never a video on C of O's. I didn't know enough to even look up a video on C of O's. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you guys need to tune in and lock in with us, because we're going to give you all that. We're going to give you all the information, period.
Right.
Any other fees, anything else, guys, that you guys can think of before we let them go?
No, I'm good,
anything minor. Obviously, people know the big things, right? But anything minor where, you know, you just don't think about. You know, we gave you a lot. Insurance,
I'll leave
maintenance.
with 2 seconds. I'll leave with 2 seconds. HOA fees, if those pertain to you, if that's your market, different. Some people have to pay in an Airbnb. You know, I know we talked about that. There's certain places that do it and don't allow that. So that's another thing. You just got to figure out whether or not you got to pay for that.
I'll tell you one. If vacant and the type of property and type of neighborhood you're at, the copper might be stolen. You're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay for that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pay for it. There's gonna be vandalism in the neighborhood you go.
Yeah, yep. Which some people, to avoid that, what they'll do is they'll board up a property, right? Which means they're going to buy OSB boards and literally seal off all windows and doors.
Another gem, guys.
You know, that's
whether you do it yourself or you have property management, you can let your property management know, hey, I need this boarded up.
And then also they have for our we have alarm systems. That we can move from house to house, and then there's an expense included in that. You got to pay for the alarm. You got to have Wi-Fi or a phone line, and those are all expenses.
Correct. All that comes
up. You don't just handle that. The tenant's got to handle that.
No, it's vacant.
I'm sorry. The owner's got to handle that. You don't just, as the property manager, you don't handle that.
Owner.
You know, everything comes with a cost, guys. You know what I'm saying? And we're not saying that you get taxed out the ass where you're not making any profits. We're not saying that. We're saying no, but this shit comes with, some type of payment, somewhere. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some, whether you're paying property management fees, whether you're paying insurance fees, whether you're paying tax fees. This is stuff you can't avoid. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but you can't avoid these things.
It's like having a car. You just pick the luxuries you want, right? Do you want a car with cloth? Do you want a car with leather? Do you want roll down windows? Do you want touch button? Do you want navigation? Do you want sunroofs? Do you want all-wheel drives? The luxuries with a car are all available for any car. Any car you want, you can get anything you want in it, but you got to pay for it. Well,
let's do one better. Because I keep saying that, people are investing, buying properties, putting tenants in there, and they think they're done. I don't care what type of car you buy, right? Buy a Lamborghini, you're just never going to get an oil change.
Right.
There's no fees associated. You're never going to change the tires.
Yeah.
We're never changing filters. I mean, I don't understand.
Right.
I don't, and maybe you guys don't understand. And, we want to make you understand here. This comes with some kind of fees,
Absolutely.
Doesn't mean you can't buy the Lambo, right? But just know the oil changes. I don't care if it's a beater from A to B. You definitely want an oil change.
Right.
You definitely want to stay on top of that, right? And on top of that, you might get where's the synthetic? I need the synthetic. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, at the end of the day, you're really going to stay on top of it. So it's the same thing with properties. There's fees that come associated with it. Stay on top of it. At the end of the day, you can't avoid these things. But listen, once again, guys, I feel like we touched on a lot. I feel like we touched on stuff. But once again, it's not sexy, but it's stuff you guys need to know. From our mouths to your ears. Of course, we'll be back with another one, guys. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Salute.
What they say? I'm so divine, imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, imperfection, perfection, my presence shines.